Hello, welcome to the pilot episode of the TripleStickShooter podcast. This is a podcast about lots of things: music, video games, wrestling, kayfabe only, no backstage stuff, books, pretty much anything I can talk about. It'll be whatever's on my mind. I've been wanting to do this for a few weeks, so I finally did it. Yay me. First thing I'm going to talk about, Persona in general, first 4, and then the Golden Anime, which is currently ongoing. The 7th episode was last night, and holy crap, that episode have some exposition. The first 5 episodes were basically fan service, showing, whatever, the gang hanging out. Episode 6 gets it heavy with Adachi's backstory. Episode 7 hits it home with showing why Adachi is the way he is. And I thought it was really well done, really deep, and I didn't really expect it. I thought it was going to be a fan service anime. And seeing what made him the way he is was really gratifying, because they didn't really talk about it in Persona 4 or the Golden, either games, and having the anime as backstory is really ingenious. I really like how they go deeper into the fact that Adachi and Yu are foils of each other. Adachi being the loner, staying in the dark with shadows, and they even show physically. There's one scene where Yu is in the light, Adachi's in the dark, and that personifies basically what their personalities are. I thought that was really cool, seeing that, because I thought Adachi's one of my favorite villains just in general, because you don't expect it. My only complaint for that episode was the battle. It lasted maybe a minute, but I can forgive it because it's only a 12 episode anime, and they've done really well in putting lots of plot in those 2 Adachi episodes. I'm curious to how they'll finish the anime. There's 5 episodes left, and they've basically defeated the villain already. They'll probably put the Valentine scene that was in the Golden version on Vita, which will be really interesting, because if you romance all the girls in Vita, you have to reject them all, and no one's happy. It makes you feel like scum, and you should. Moving on from that, Persona 4, PS2 version. I'm playing it on PS3 Classics. Put about 70 hours into it so far. I've already beat it once. I'm enjoying it second time through. You pick up on a lot of things you don't notice the first time. You go, there. See what you did there. I really don't have any complaints about this game, aside from the obvious of main character dies, game over, which is infuriating sometimes. But it is a Shin Megami game, so that's kind of a given with the difficulty and the learning curve, which isn't as intense on this as it is in the main series Shin Megami games. These games are evil. I played some of them, and I die in the first or second battle. These games pretty much have an exponential learning curve to them, and you have to keep going and going at them. And I will, because I paid $20 for the 3DS one, and I can't get it back because I bought it new. So I'll probably put in about 10 hours and then break it in half because it's stupid. Alright, enough talking about infuriating games. Let's go. SummerSlam was this past Sunday, and it definitely happened. I don't remember what happened really, other than Ambrose and Rollins, which was pretty good except until the ending. They kind of spiked the ending on that one. Rollins should have either won clean, or no, Rollins should have just won clean. Using the briefcase was lame. Although he is kind of the cowardly villain, I guess. It goes with his character, but still, is a cheap way to finish off probably the most unique lumberjack match in recent memory. And by that I mean ever, because lumberjack matches are dumb. There's no point to them at all. Overall, it was an okay pay-per-view. We had a flag match that didn't really involve flags. A Divas match that I thought was too short. My man Dolph Ziggler won the Intercontinental Championship from that idiot. Bray Wyatt defeated Jericho. I kind of skipped that match. I should go back and watch it. There was another Divas match that I won't even talk about. It gets no airtime from me. Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, yeah, that happened. And then The Beast versus John Cena. Let me tell you, I haven't seen a thrashing that bad since, I guess, the Super Bowl. Is just domination the whole way through by Brock Lesnar. As it should be. He is giant and big. And he is definitely a beast. And granted, in my opinion, my favorite part about him is Paul Heyman, because Lesnar kind of sucks. But I'd rather have him as champion than Cena. As long as Roman Reigns doesn't step into the title picture, which he's probably hoping for too much. And I watched Impact Wrestling last night. I don't really remember what happened. The cage match kind of sucked. The ladder match was just stupid. Samoa Joe and Low Ki wrestled in a very good X Division title match. And that's about all I remember. And also the rip-off Wyatt family, which is kind of hilarious. So my quick review of Impact gets one sideways Batista thumb solely for the Joe Key match, which was the only thing worth watching. It wasn't a train wreck as much as it was just boring. Yeah, not good. Alright, enough wrestling. It's making me depressed thinking about how Daniel Bryan will never come back, probably. I read a comic book called Blankets, autobiographical book by Craig Thomas, romance, drama, coming of age, that kind of thing. I liked it. I thought it was good. I give it, one Batista and a half thumb up. My only complaint was it didn't really give closure on certain characters, which I thought was a little disappointing. But that happens in real life, and it was autobiographical, so I can understand the decision on that. I've also been rereading Scott Pilgrim. I got hardcover number 5, and I reread through all of them, starting with 1. I must have read, the very least, I've read 1 probably 20 times, and it never gets tiring. Absolutely love this series. If you haven't read it, check it out. All 6 books are out in black and white. 1 through 5 are in color, hardcover, with 6 hopefully coming out by the end of the year. Quick summary if you don't know what that is. Scott Pilgrim's a slacker. He's a sort of a musician. Becomes infatuated with the Amazon delivery girl, even though he's dating a high schooler. And hilarity, turmoil, and drama ensues from there. I'm pretty much obsessed with it. I've got the video game and also the video game soundtrack on vinyl, done by Anna Managuchi, and it's very good. And also the movie on Blu-ray, which is pretty good for an adaptation. I thought some parts were lacking. Other than that, Edgar Wright did a good job. In my book, he's batting 1,000 when it comes to directing movies. So yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Check it out if you haven't. At the very least, the movie, it's Edgar Wright. How could you not watch it? I also read Seconds, which is by Brian Lee O'Malley, who also does Scott Pilgrim. Quick summary, it's about a girl who's a really good chef in a restaurant. She built the restaurant, but she doesn't own it, so she wants to leave and go make her own restaurant. She discovers these magic mushrooms. They let her fix mistakes that she made. She writes her mistake in a book. She eats the mushroom, goes to sleep, and bam, her mistake is done. Hilarity ensues, and I thought it was really good comic. I put it up there with Scott Pilgrim in terms of just how much I enjoyed it, and the writing was done well. And there's a few subtle Scott Pilgrim hints in it, which I thought was pretty cool. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you enjoy Scott Pilgrim, or if you enjoy comic books about restaurants. Either one. I'm sure lots of people, it overlaps in their general interests. So going on from that, let's talk about some music. That track you heard at the beginning is a Broken Social Scene song called Our Faces Split the Coast. Broken Social Scene is one of my favorite bands ever. It's from their self-titled album, which I believe is their third. The first one is Feel Good Lost, it's a pure post-rock album. I think one song had lyrics in it, but other than that, it's ambient post-rock. And their second album is my absolute favorite album ever, You Forgot It in People. It's probably the best pop album I've ever heard. A couple notable tracks. One of my favorites is Casey Accidental, which is the second track on it. And then Almost Crimes, which is the fourth track. Those are my two favorite tracks from the album. It's absolutely stunning. I got it on vinyl and it sounds phenomenal. I pretty much listen to some tracks from it, at the very least, every other day. It's really diverse for an album that can be pretty much classified as pop. I've also been listening to a lot of classic metal, really into Iron Maiden right now. Mainly Number of the Beast and Powerslave, which Powerslave is my favorite album from them that I've heard so far. It seems to be the best one in my opinion. As with all Iron Maiden albums, the opening track is real heavy, and they always have great opening tracks no matter the album. I've also been digging Peace of Mind, which has one of their most famous tracks, The Trooper, and the image used for that song has become one of their most famous and key images, with their mascot Eddie holding up the flag, charging, ready for war. I've got the shirt because it's awesome, and it's also the only band shirt I own, because I think for the most part band shirts have just awful designs. I've also been getting into Slayer, which I've never really listened to before, and they are pretty good. I like them. I listened to the album South of Heaven, and that's the only one I've listened to so far, but I really like the sound of it, and probably check out more of them. If it sounds like I'm being vague about describing things, it's because I really suck at it. Hopefully the more podcasts I do, the better I'll get at it, describing specifically what I like about something. But until then, we'll both have to suffer with my terribleness. So sorry. It may seem like I'm jumping from topic to topic really fast, but my cutting-edge young audience thinks unpredictability from podcasts as well. Strange topic suddenly rings out. That is whatever crazy stuff comes to mind. A sinful betrayal beyond anyone's expectations. Can you feel it? Actually, I can't even feel it, so I'm just gonna stop trying. Going from there, let's talk about some more anime I watched, called, something like My Romantic High School Comedy Snafu. I really liked how they portrayed the main character as just being an outsider. He wasn't brooding, he wasn't dark, he wasn't emo, he wasn't, ooh, my god, I'm gonna destroy this world. He was just like, God, just leave me alone. I felt that was fairly realistic, unlike some of these archetypes you see in high school, teenage anime, where the main character is just a brooding D-bag full of emotions. The basic story is the main character is forced by his teacher to learn how to function in social situations in general. I won't say too much about it, mainly because I watched it a month and a half ago and forgot most of the stuff. I remember really liking it. It's only 12 episodes. It's only subtitled, but that's not really a problem for most people watching anime, I would assume. Another anime I've been watching have been the new Neon Genesis movies, 1.11 and 2.22. I watched them fairly recently. I've never seen Neon Genesis past the first few episodes, so I didn't really know the plot, which was cool seeing it happen in a shortened movie version. I thought first of all, the animation was really well done. In most cartoons, they use CGI. I'm talking about 2D animated cartoons that use CGI. It looks very obscene and ridiculous, but in Neon Genesis, they make it mesh so well that sometimes it's hard to tell if it's really CG or if it's traditional hand-drawn 2D animation, which is always nice. It's pretty much just giant robots being controlled by people, fighting giant aliens. Lots of action. Surprising amount of character development for something that's very focused on the fighting. I will say, the main character, kid, I forget his name, I think it's Shinji, is way too brooding for my taste. He needs to tone it down a bit on the emotions. I think he goes overboard sometimes. It's the archetype brooding kid who feels like he has no place in the world, and it's annoying. Other than that, I think it's pretty good, especially since his character development gets better as the movies go on. Currently waiting for 3.33 to release on Blu-ray. I'd rather not watch some crappy visual stream. I watch these movies in 1080p Blu-ray with surround sound, so I want to experience 3.33 in that also. And watching some crappy internet stream really doesn't do the animation justice. So I highly recommend it if you like, I think they're called Gaijin movies, monster movies, Godzilla type thing. It's just giant monsters fighting, destroying cities, real cool stuff. You can get 1.11 and 2.22 on DVD and Blu-ray. 3.33 will eventually be done. They're redoing the dub for some reason. The executives in Japan didn't really like the dub that was released in theaters, so they went back and are redoing, I think, the entire movie for the dub, which will take some time. And the finale of it, 4.44, I'm hoping, at least for Japan, in a year or so. It's probably on schedule for that. They've been about every 3 years, so that seems about right. I guess I can go into about one more general topic before I close out the show. Movies, which I absolutely love. I watched Cowboy Bebop the movie again, just because I was bored, and I forgot how good it was. The animation, especially for, I think it was, 2000? It's really good, clean animation. Fluid, not much character development, but what do you expect? Watch the show first. The villain, I like the villain because reasons, and yeah, I give it 2 Batista thumbs up. It's my quick review. I guess I could have gone under anime. Shut up. It's my podcast. I can do as damn well as I please. Oh, I watched a really terrible horror movie. I guess I shouldn't say really terrible, because I laughed my ass off at the ending, because it was stupid. I think, what was it called? Oh, it was called Would You Rather. Basically, the psychotic millionaire, billionaire dude, he gets people in a dinner party, and he's like, would you rather do this horrible thing, or this horrible thing? And it's completely serious. And it's just, God, it's bad. Brittany Snow stars in it, so, you know, that's your kind of your plateau for quality right there. Oh, and D'Angelo Barksdale makes an appearance because they had to get one credible actor in this movie, I guess. But basic outline: Brittany Snow, she needs her. I think it's her brother has like leukemia or something. He has cancer. He's bald. He has really no screen time. She does this thing to try to get money and a donor. Going to this guy's house for the dinner party. She doesn't realize he's psychotic and wants the dinner guests to murder each other for money because, you know, rich guy amusement. So the supporting characters end up dying in hilariously gruesome fashion for some of them. There's a drowning, there's a stabbing, which didn't really seem that gruesome, but yeah, they die anyway. Someone's head gets blown clean off, which, great effect right there. Honestly, it looks real. But spoilers for the ending, spoilers right here. So, Brittany Snow wins the whole damn thing by shooting the final guy. The crazy rich guy, he goes, you could either kill this guy or you can both walk away with your lives and no money. So she goes and kills him because reasons. And then she goes back to her house and she finds out that her brother, I think it was heroin, he killed himself with heroin and making the entire ordeal pointless, which was, oh man, good job, movie writer. Real good stuff. I give it, honestly, it's really easy to watch. It's a terrible movie, but it's really easy to watch. I give it a 1 sideways Batista thumb. Mainly on the fact that it's not painful, it's just stupid and hilarious. Alright, one more movie to close out this podcast, which I guess could have gone in the anime section also. Persona 3, Birth of Spring, movie number 1. If you haven't played Persona 3 before, basic outline, kind of like Persona 4, high school kids have to save the world, which is basically those 2 games in a nutshell. And it goes through, I want to say, the first 15 hours of gameplay for Persona 3. The movie is only like 90 minutes long. It might not even be the first 15 hours, maybe the first 10. But they condense that in 90 minutes and do it in a very good fashion, I thought. Some of the character development was rushed, but that's to be expected, because if you're watching the movie, you've probably played the game, so, there's that. It was kind of, felt too short, but remember this is a trilogy, so they don't want to put in too much for the first movie. So basic outline, plot outline, high school kids commit suicide over and over again to summon helpful demons to kill evil shadows. I'm not really exaggerating with that plot outline. It really is kind of ridiculous is how it sounds. They have guns. They're not real guns, they're just evokers. They put them against their head to summon their friendly demon. It's kind of funny. There's a real reason to it. I read it. It makes sense. I'm not going to repeat it here because I'm lazy. But long story short, unlike in Persona 4, where they naturally come to their persona powers, in 3 they have to force it out with trauma, and the gun against their head gives them enough trauma to summon the friendly demon to help kill demon shadows. This is probably the biased fanboy in me, but I give it 2 Batista thumbs up. You can find it on any subtitle anime streaming sites. It's easy to find. It's worth your 90 minutes or so. Even if you have no idea what Persona 3 is, it's still really well done animation and voice acting, all that. So I guess that wraps it up for this show. My goal was 20 minutes and I hit it. So if you have, hopefully someone will watch this. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. Hopefully I get a few so I can do a Q&A little section next podcast. But other than that, the first show, I think. I'm surprised I hit 20 minutes with relevant stuff. I know it's kind of a crappy podcast, but it's mine, and I'm proud of it. I'll probably release the next podcast around this time next week, maybe early in the week, if I feel like it. So thanks for listening. Have a good day.